Hello everyone and welcome to Spoonie Space, our weekly web-based show made by Spoonies for Spoonies. You may think, what is a spoonie? Well, a spoonie is a person with an... Welcome to Spoonie Space. Okay, somebody has it open because I hear it double. Spoonies for Spoonies. You may think, what is a spoonie? I'm sorry, that was a technical glitch. This is our first show. I just heard myself double. Anyway, you might think, what is a spoonie? Well, a spoonie is a person with an invisible illness or chronic pain or mental illness, something that affects their daily life. And that's what we're here for in the show to talk about. I'm sorry, I'm just getting a message, and I think everybody can hear me really loud. I cannot turn my volume down, so if it's loud, you can turn the volume of your computer down a little bit. Sorry for that. Anyway, so welcome. It may be a little bit unorganized today since it's our first show, and we've done some test runs, but the kinks kind of need to be worked out. If you're watching on our Spoonies For Life page, you can see that underneath this video, there's a big button that says get your Spoonie product at a discount. Every week there will be a product at a discount available through that button, and it will change every week. So you can click that button, it will open up in another window, and you can see what it is. We'll talk about that at the end of the show. Underneath that button, you can also sign up for updates. You can sign up. Hi, Kathy. Welcome. Nice for you to join us. You can sign up for updates. That's the email list where we will let you know when our next show will be, what the topics will be, ask you questions, and just send you emails about stuff like that. Underneath that button, you can see there's a comment section on the page. So if you want to ask a question or add your advice or just say anything in general, you can leave your comment there. Every once in a while during the show, one of us will check the comments, and we will work with that because we want this to be an interactive show. Every week we will discuss a different topic, and since this is the first show, it will mostly be introductions, introducing ourselves to us, and we want to add a positive thing in your day, because the goal of this show is to give you some positivity in, a fairly hard daily life. And we don't want to complain about it. We just want to talk about the things that interest us and try to give everything a positive spin. Well, my name is Natalie. My last name is very difficult. I'm Dutch. In Dutch, I say Nathalie van Scheltinga. I'm a 33-year-old single mom, and I've set up the community Spoonies For Life over a year ago. I do online marketing. I've done different things before, but I've always been ill. I have fibromyalgia and Hashimoto's disease, amongst other autoimmune problems. And I just wanted to do something with that. So I started the Spoonies For Life community, primarily based on people with fibromyalgia in the beginning, and it just grew really big. And now we have the website, we have the Facebook page, we have a closed Facebook support group. We recently opened the forum, and since today we have the weekly live talk show, Spoonie Space. So that's about it. I'm gonna give the mic to Lois. Lois, please introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm Lois. I am a 41-year-old mother, wife, and disabled RN. My primary issues that cause me to be a spoonie are gastroparesis, fibromyalgia, and rheumatoid disease. Unfortunately, I have multiple other things that kind of, create issues off and on throughout the day or weeks or months, whatever it shall be. I have Raynaud's, I have restless leg syndrome. That affects me every night and can be miserable if I don't keep it under control. with medication. Sorry, I have to look at my notes. There's just so many things. I have autoimmune hepatitis, and I don't know, the list goes on, so I'll forget those. Let's see. It's really difficult. I think my most difficult thing is living with my nausea and my vomiting and the pain that comes with it. It's really hard to eat enough food so that my body can have enough energy, not just to operate, but to even function throughout my day, which creates a lot of fatigue. And unfortunately, fibromyalgia and rheumatoid disease also create a lot of fatigue. So, and brain fog, which creates messing up words and forgetting things. So you'll see me stumble a lot, and I apologize for that. But unfortunately, as all of us Spoonies know, that's kind of part of the gig. Let's see. I use a lot of different resources to help me get through my days. Meditation and prayer are my biggest things. They really help to kind of keep my stress level down and keep me focused on staying positive and living the best life I can possibly live. Let's see. I know I have a lot else to say, but I kind of want to be able to pass it around. So let's go ahead and pass it to Mark. Mark, introduce yourself.
Thank you, Lois. I'm Mark. I'm a 32-year-old U.S. Navy veteran. I have fibromyalgia, depression, anxiety, GERD, gout. My list goes on for quite a while. My daily struggles include chronic pain, fatigue, cognitive impairment, fibrofog as it's called as well. And what I do to try to keep going positive and motivate myself, I recently had joined the Spoonies For Life community and then helped run it as an administrator. I also helped create memes to bring joy to many people's lives. You know, it started out as just a little happy thing to do here and there, and lots of people reacted, and it brought a lot of joy to people, which helped me out because I was helping other people, which is really the best medicine, is to help people out that way. And then I got out of the Veteran Administration healthcare system because that was not doing my health any good, and I started using medical cannabis instead, and that absolutely saved my life. I went from a long list of pharmaceutical medications down to a plant, and that's it. I lost 100 pounds, and I didn't have to use my cane now for quite some time. Today, I fell. I'm using it today, but that's a temporary thing. And so I'd like to go ahead and pass that on to Christina.
Thank you, Mark. My name is Christina. I'm a 42-year-old wife and mother. My children are in their 20s, so they've just left the house. So I'm experiencing a little bit of empty nest syndrome. I've also been diagnosed with fibromyalgia and chronic fatigue. It's been over 20 years, however, it was about a 10-year struggle finding the correct diagnosis. I was originally diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis when I was about 21, and I had a couple back surgeries and was concerned that the rheumatoid arthritis would flare worse with the surgery. So I saw a new rheumatologist, and he did a complete oral discussion for I think a half an hour, and then he also did the fibromyalgia test, which immediately showed that I did in fact have fibromyalgia. Along with that, I do have chronic fatigue and chronic depression. I do suffer anxiety and also restless legs syndrome. So sleep is something I need a lot of, but I don't get a lot of. My biggest struggle right now is having left the workplace. I have worked with people with disabilities for over 25 years, actually even going back into high school where I volunteered with children with disabilities. I had worked as an ABA therapist and absolutely loved working with the children. However, I would get home and either just cry because I was in so much pain or have to take so much medication that I would just go to bed. So my life became just work and sleep. So I did finally make the decision to leave the workforce, and that is my biggest struggle right now, because I really identified myself as someone who worked with people with disabilities, and it was such a part of my being that I can still cry at the drop of a hat over that. In that way, Spoonies for Life really has helped me, because as an administrator, I get to work with people and help people. And I'm also learning to do a home business, so kind of involved with my ABA therapy. So that's starting to help a little bit. Other things that I do to keep myself on track is making myself a routine. I have a calendar every day, and I don't get upset if I don't get to everything, but I do put, like, today I'm going to vacuum the living room, and other things, I'm going to go outside for 15 minutes, or I'm going to walk around the house 3 times. Just little things throughout the day so I don't end up just sitting in one place and letting myself sink into the depression. So that's about as much as I can think of right now. So I am going to pass on to Dina.
Thank you, Christina. Do I have it? Do I have it? Am I on the screen? I'm still looking at Christina. Okay, thank you. Hi, I'm Dina, and my diagnoses include Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, type 3, which is the hypermobile type. I also have mast cell activation syndrome, dysautonomia, severe asthma, migraines. It goes on and on. But the things that are the biggest struggle for me are really the first 3. When you're a kid, you think being really, really flexible is fun. You know, you do the high school V-sit and reach. If you're American, I don't know about abroad, but if you're American, you probably remember Presidential Fitness Awards, and that box that you had to lean over and see how far you could go on the tape. They had to bring an extra ruler for me, always. I thought that was cool. I had no idea that later it was going to become horrible pain all the time, because I literally cannot keep my joints together. That's what Ehlers-Danlos is it's a connective tissue disease, genetic, where these are splints. I also have giant 3-foot-long splints on my knees. My joints don't stay together because the collagen doesn't work right. So I am always in pain. Mast cell activation means that I got a cigarette or wearing chewing, I just go straight into anaphylaxis. Not much fun. It's kind of scary. But what's really helped for me, my splints, I got gadgets from OT to help a lot in the kitchen because I love to cook. And it really started bothering me when my hands got so bad and I couldn't cut safely anymore. And I don't open jars well on my own. And these things just break my heart because I love to cook. So I got gadgets. And I got splints. And I have Spoonies for Life. I am a certified rehabilitation counselor who lost her last job because I went into anaphylaxis too many times at work. And that scared the heck out of them. So they kind of came up with ways to get rid of me that didn't look so obvious as that, because that's not legal. But they came up with ways to get rid of me. I'm working to get back in the workforce, but that's slow because I've since learned, like Christina said, I would force myself through and take the dog out to potty, and that would be a bad. So, but this space allows me to still be my therapist self. It allows me to help people, to give back, to be me in some sense while I try to continue on. And that is really important to me. I get to do it as myself, and I get to do it even more as an admin, and that has been very, very helpful. And now I will pass it on to Sarah.
Hello. I think I'm last here. I have some notes so I don't forget anything because I have lots of brain fog. So I don't have an official diagnosis. One doctor said probably fibromyalgia, but they didn't do the like the tender points test, and but so my diagnosis is myalgia, which is muscle pain, and neuropathy, which is nerve pain. And I haven't been diagnosed with chronic fatigue. If I don't have it, I have a whole lot of fatigue. I either sleep 3 or 4 hours, or I sleep like 16 hours and take a nap. There's no in between. I have a lot of brain fog, and sciatica. I say the wrong words a lot. I'm celebrating recovery in a lot of my mental issues. I've been diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, seasonal affectiveness disorder, which I'm sad when it's cold, severe depression, anxiety. I've had some body and food issues, and among self-harm and among other things. There's more to and I something that frustrates me a lot is I never know when my pain is gonna hit, or where it's gonna hit, or how bad it's gonna be, and that can change from moment to moment, or from day to day, and it can last a few hours or a week, and it's hard to plan things. And then also, I think something that I struggle with too is the fatigue in my kids. And then not a lot of people know what's going on with me, but even the ones that do, I don't talk about it a lot. So when I do have bad days, I think it's hard for them to remember that I'm still sick, and that it's not me not wanting to do things, like I have to pick and choose, and the kids come first. And but let's see, I pray a lot. I try to find the smile and the frown for every pain or feeling or bad experience. For every frown, I count a blessing. I affirm a blessing. I read my Bible. I have a great family support. My kids can frustrate me, but I love them, and they bring me smiles too. My husband's very supportive. My mom too, and friends. I have great friends, and I have this. I'm not gonna pick her up, but my dog follows me around like a shadow, and she is my buddy and comforts me a lot. And with that, I think I'm the last one, so I'm going to pass it back to Natalie.
Let me check if Catherine is still here. Catherine, are you here to introduce yourself? Because we can't see your video. No, I don't think Catherine's there, but anyway.
I'm here.
Oh, you're here. Please introduce yourself. We can hear you, but we cannot see you.
Okay. My name is Catherine McGee. I am a 54-year-old mother, wife, and my husband just said pest. Um, I'm a spoonie because I have fibromyalgia, Hashimoto's, restless leg syndrome, anxiety disorder, bipolar disorder, uh, OCD, and any other acronym you can probably come up with. I wanted to just say, ladies and Mark, that you've got some beautiful ribbons on your shirts. They look absolutely wonderful. Where did you get them from? Oh, wait a minute. I made them. Anyways, if any of you want someone to talk to brighten your day, give me a call. And I just want to say that this community is a wonderful community. They're very supportive. They've helped me get through quite a bit of stuff, and I've tried to be there for others as well. And I hope those that are new here will come back. I'll send this back to Natalie. Maybe.
Yes, thank you, Catherine, for introducing yourself. Well, you've heard my name a couple times. I'm Natalie. I've been diagnosed with fibromyalgia and Hashimoto's, and my most debilitating symptom is the headaches and the fatigues. My pain is manageable. My fibromyalgia pain is pretty much under control without any medication. I used to be on a lot of medication, and I stopped that. I have moved to a better climate. Like I said before, I'm originally from Holland, and it's very cold and humid there. And most of the days I was just feeling really, really bad, in a lot of pain and extremely fatigued. So I have moved to the beautiful island of Lanzarote in the Canary Islands. It's close to North Africa. In the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and it's much better here. Even though now I'm used to the warmth, I still get cold, but we don't really get winter. It's more like autumn weather when it's winter here. I feel much better because I get so much more sun and vitamin D from the sun. So I really have noticed that my energy has gone up a lot. But my pain is still there and my headaches are still there, and I can still not do full days all the time, which is not normal for a 33-year-old. I know I have quite a busy life with my daughter, and I've moved here without any family, so it's just me taking care of her, running my business, making sure to make enough money to be able to live. I don't have any backup, so yeah, it's basically just me running the show, which is really difficult if I am knocked out for 2 months and just staying in my bed, not being able to really get up, and having other moms pick up my daughter to bring her to school and to pick her back up and to take her to the birthday parties. So yeah, I'm working very hard and trying to get my health under control. I have recently started the Autoimmune protocol diet, which is a very, very restrictive diet specifically made for people with Hashimoto's to stop your body from attacking your own thyroid. I can't really say much about it yet because I've been working up to it for a year now, but I've been really strict since the 1st of June, so that's 3 weeks today. I've noticed that I cut my medication in half, so that's very good. And I am a little less tired, but now I just have all these other symptoms from changing my diet, and I've added these supplements and enzymes, which in the long run will make me feel better, but my body's just kind of like, what are you doing to me? I don't really feel much better yet, but I really notice in the small things that it's helping. So since it's so new to me, I have to completely learn how to cook. I'm not the best cook, and now I'm making like bone broth from scratch. And yesterday I had my big, humongous chicken in the oven. It was really good, by the way. So a lot of time goes to figuring out where on this island where my Spanish is not that good yet, so where I don't really speak the language very well, to figure out where to get non-toxic fruits and vegetables, where to get ecological chicken. It's not really hip to eat, ecological. So if I ask people here, where can I buy biological meat? They're like, what is biological meat? Like, oh my gosh, you people. They're very sheltered here. I myself am from Amsterdam, so it's a big worldly city. Well, it's not a big city, but it's a worldly city. So that's stuff that I have to deal with next to being chronically ill. That was basically me in a nutshell, my health. Well, we've all covered a little bit our positives in our day. We are going to go into that later, but I've received an email with a question. So Lisa says she wants to ask us how we deal with getting a new diagnosis. She says, for example, a person has been diagnosed with fibromyalgia, but weeks or even months later, you hear that rheumatoid arthritis has decided to join the party as well. She's just looking for different coping skills. So, Lois, can you say something about that? Can you help Lisa out?
That's kind of funny because that's exactly what just happened to me. I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia about 2 years ago, and finally, let's see, it's June. So in April, I got the diagnosis of rheumatoid disease. So it was weird because you kind of have this, yes, I knew it wasn't just fibromyalgia. And then you have this, holy cow, I have rheumatoid disease, and that is so much more than fibromyalgia, and it means taking biologics and taking medications that I really don't want to take, but I've worked with my rheumatologist and agreed on a plan that I like for the medications. And also, I kind of allowed myself to the downside of it, wow, this is what I have, and I know how debilitating it can be. I know how dangerous it can be, and all the things that it causes. And so I just kind of allowed myself to feel that for a couple days, and then said, okay, this is what I have, and how can I do my best to get through it. And so I've posted, of course, in our support group, Spoonies For Life private group, and of course got lots of advice there. And my husband is an amazing support, and my father also, and he's got a wealth of knowledge of natural stuff, and so I've included all that, and just got all of my people around me lifting me up and cheering me on so that I can live the best life I can possibly live. It's not easy when you get that scary diagnosis, but you can overcome it, and you can do better with that. Does anyone else have anything to say on that? Okay, Christina.
I kind of had the opposite situation as you did, going from finding out that I had rheumatoid arthritis to finding out that it was fibromyalgia. So I kind of had more of a relief reaction than you did at that point, Lois. The things that I did to cope at that point, because I did have a very young child at the time, and both rheumatoid arthritis and fibromyalgia were brand new, scary things to me. The first thing I did was talk to my doctor about who I could talk to learn more about it. I went to the hospital and I talked to I just made an appointment to talk to the doctor and just learn about it. And he gave me resources to look for more information. The internet was kind of brand new at the time, so I couldn't just do a Google search. I had to go to the library, and the information that they had there was just so outdated that it didn't even help much. But I did find the National Arthritis Foundation and a couple other places where I wrote in snail mail and asked for some information, made some calls. So I did find out what all it entailed and what the current studies were. And the next thing I did, Lois, like you, was let myself feel the emotions and consider how it would affect me day to day and how it might impact me down the line. And you go through a grief process, I think, with any new diagnosis, because some of them are very scary. And so you go through that little bit of anger, you go through frustration and the depression and the bargaining. I mean, please just don't let me have this, or, you know, things like that. So I let myself feel. Also, talking about it to my family and to my friends and letting them know what I've learned. And even if they didn't understand it, at least they knew it was there and knew that I was dealing with this new information. And I did lose some friends because they just couldn't understand. But then you also realize who your real support is. I did end up going to therapy for a little while also, which I always kind of scoffed at, but I did learn some more coping skills to manage my frustrations and my grief and my anxiety over the new information. And those were the main things that I did do. Anybody else? Dina?
Hello. So for me, I've had problems since I was a kid. My right ankle and right wrist would sprain. We now realize I was probably dislocating and then putting them back in place constantly, but at the time we thought I was just spraining them all the time. And my knees were really bad, but I ran junior Olympic track. So everybody said it was between here and here. And you have no idea, well, some of you, because you're also Spoonies, know how infuriating that is. I dealt with so much pain, had massive knee surgeries in 2001 and 2002 to correct my legs that they don't even like doing because they are so invasive. They require more physical therapy than a total knee replacement. And people just kept saying, oh, can't be that wrong with you, can't be that wrong with you. Well, then I finally learned about EDS, actually through my job, because I worked with people who had serious mental illness and were seriously physically ill, and I went to their homes as a therapist. And I wound up with a client with EDS. And then I was kind of looking at her, going, And then I met somebody at Comic-Con, of all places, who had it and was looking at me going, you have this. I was like, no, I don't. No, I don't. And she invited me to join an EDS support group online, and eventually I did. And I met with them, and they're all like, you have this. You need to go see this special neurologist. And when I got diagnosed, it was such a relief because I was no longer faking it. It was no longer in my head. It was no longer crap. It was, I had a physical therapist tell me, yeah, you have absolutely no stability in any of your joints from the hips down, and the joints in my hands and elbows and farther up, I have stability in there because they're all arthritic. It was a relief to finally know what was wrong. Yes, it was also scary because I also got told you don't want to have that. But part of my degree is medical. So I just went and gathered a bunch of information because that's what I do. And so I was lucky because I have that medical background, and I was able to just dive into the research and assimilate it. And I had a support community that I could go to from the beginning, because that support community were the people who were going, yeah, you got this. No, seriously, you've got this. And so it helped. But for me, diagnosis made me not crazy, not a faker, not looking for attention. And that was the relief. It was just huge. And I'm going to hand it back to Natalie.
Thank you, Dina. Well, I can tell you my diagnosis of fibromyalgia. It was a friend of mine, and her friend got diagnosed with fibromyalgia, and I've always been hurting. We've been friends in high school, and I remember sitting in the classroom, and my arms would hurt so bad in the middle of a lesson, I fell out of my chair. I was sitting down, listening to the lecture, and I fell out of my chair. Well, I was 14 at the time, and of course I had a bunch of tests, a whole lot of tests, but they couldn't find anything. They said, well, you know what? Usually growing pains stop when you're a teenager, but you'll just have late growing pains, right? So my growing pains went from my legs to my arms. And then I was 20, I think. I was studying, I was 17. I was studying in college, and I was doing information technology. And after, I think, a year and a half, my arms and my wrists started hurting. And they said, you know, you have repetitive strain injury, so you need a specified desk, you know, and to sit really in a specific way. We didn't know. It was in the year 2000 or 2001. We didn't know, you know, that computers can make you hurt. So I requested that, and I was kicked out of school. That's a whole different story. But anyway, I stopped doing information technology because my, the doctor said you can either do this and then be unable to work for the rest of your life, or you can choose another field of work. Well, I tried doing that, ended up doing stuff with computers in the end anyway. But yeah, so one of my friends, by this time I was like 22, who said, well, my friend has been diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Here are all the symptoms. It kind of sounds like you. So check it out. So I checked it out. I'm like, this is totally me. This is completely what I have. Well, it took me about another 5 years to get a doctor to put it in my medical file. But, you know, fibromyalgia is just kind of a label they give you, and they really don't do anything with it. Well, now they do a little bit more, but when I was diagnosed, it was kind of like, well, too bad, you know, you have to just have a, more laid back way of life, no stress, and, you know, don't overextend yourself, and when you're tired, sleep. So I started working with that. I went to my physical therapy every week, and it started getting better. My joints kind of pop out of place too. I'm also looking at the Ehlers-Danlos syndrome because I'm very, very flexible. Not as flexible as Dina, but yeah, that's on my radar too. So it needs to be kind of put back in place, because then my pain stops. You know, when my joints get put back in place, my pain's not so bad anymore. But then, why am I so fatigued? Why does my face swell up? Why do my eyes swell up? Why do I feel like there's ants crawling in my veins? That's not fibromyalgia, you know, that's something else. Crazy enough, 1 year ago, when I was researching online how to grow our community, I was researching for websites that are very, very popular for different illnesses. So I just made a list of chronic illnesses, because I thought I have fibromyalgia, so I started there. And then I did all the obvious ones. I did MS and lupus, you know, did some research and see how I could reach that community. And then I was thinking, oh, wait, I have a slow thyroid, and I'm taking medication for that. People with a slow thyroid, you know, they would want to know about this too. Well, that was interesting. I went into a website that was like, according to my research, the core of people with this low thyroid, and it was a website about Hashimoto. I was floored. I was reading these stories, and I'm like, this is me, you know? I thought I already knew what I had, but I didn't at all. This is me. So yeah, crazy enough, by setting up this community, I found my own diagnosis and am now trying with doctors to get it officially in my medical file. I've done private tests like 2 weeks ago that prove in my blood that I'm right. And so now just I have to go and find a doctor to kind of really write it down in my medical file. Well, since I said I live in Lanzarote, my mom is visiting me now, and she arrived 1 week ago, and she got her hands on my medical files, but like my old files before it was digitalized from my old doctor. And I was reading through it, and I saw all of the diagnoses, like from when I was, I think, 17, when I started going to the doctors. It all said autoimmune. My whole medical history said autoimmune problems. No doctor ever told me that out loud because I remember stuff. Nobody ever told me autoimmune, you know, and it's in this medical file, and it was just a week ago. I can still get upset where I had to figure out what's wrong with me while I was already diagnosed, but nobody told me. So I couldn't do my own research. I couldn't figure out, you know, alternative ways to deal with this. You know, the doctors just, you know, told me, take this pill, you'll be fine. And when I came back and said, well, I still don't feel well, they didn't really do anything. So yeah, I'm still being my own advocate and trying to get it all diagnosed. I'm trying to get other medicine right now, my natural thyroid hormone instead of synthetic ones, but those are illegal in Spain, so that's my next hurdle. But anyway, you can get a lot of diagnoses, you cannot be diagnosed. Whichever one it is, you need to be your own advocate and find a support group like the Spoonies For Life support group. I use it as my own personal support group too when I need it, and yeah, I have to say, it really helps me. So I'm going to pass it over to Mark.
Thank you. I was just going to add in on the part about doctors and them thinking about how it's, you know, just in your head. And I had to go through a big struggle with that when I was in the Navy. You know, in the Navy, you are physically fit, you are your best, and if you're not, that's a problem. I fell out of an aircraft. That was most likely my triggering event for fibromyalgia, but it took a very long time to get the actual diagnosis. Vitamin M, as we called it in the Navy, or Motrin, but that didn't help, and it became months and months of chronic pain, x-rays, MRIs showing nothing. So they're like, oh, it's just in your head, you know, just, you know, sailor up and get back to work. Well, I couldn't. You know, the pain was worse. So they're like, oh, you're malingering, it's in your head, you know. You're just trying to, you know, get out of doing your job and your duty. So, you know, after, you know, battling them for a long time about limitations, at the time I was walking with a cane daily, they ended up sending me out of state to go see a military psychiatrist to test me for malingering, because obviously I was faking it to them. So, you know, that was almost 10 years ago now. So it still upsets me because doctors can dismiss you and say, hey, it's just in your head, when, you know, there's a lot that goes on. I ended up going online to a support group before Spoonies had existed called Daily Strength. It was running for just a bunch of different things. And they were like, you have fibromyalgia. Like, you have it. I'm like, what's this? I've never heard of that. And doing my own research and then bringing a packet to my doctor and going, is this possible? And they're like, I don't know. Let me refer you. And referral to a rheumatologist, yeah, was like, yeah, this is what you have. And then you're like, I have a lifelong chronic pain diagnosis, and it's hard to accept. That's my big one. I don't have others that are as big as that one, so I don't have that second diagnosis to have the relation to what to do at that point. But that first one just smacks you hard. You're just dumbstruck. And with that, I'm gonna pass it back to Natalie.
Since I can't see Kathy, I will just ask Kathy, do you have anything to add to this? Are you still there?
All right, can you hear me? Okay. Yeah, I'd like to say that I was diagnosed in 2001 with the fibromyalgia, but I had been dealing with the symptoms for over 10 years. And when I finally got the diagnosis, it was a relief. But I also grieved because I knew that there was no cure, and I knew that my life was going to change, and I had to accept and adapt. That's what I keep telling people that I interact with when their world changes with a diagnosis, is after you've had that grieving time, you need to accept and adapt. And the way I get through my days is a big part of getting through my days is with humor. My husband and I are always joking about everything, and crafting, and helping others. Because if there's something that I know that they need to know or they don't know, that gives them new hope to be able to help them deal with their symptoms. So this group has been a wonderful, wonderful resource and an unexpected resource. Natalie, thank you very much for putting it up. And I'm going to go now because the phone is ringing and I don't want that in your ear.
Thank you, Kathy. Sarah, you're the last one. Do you have something to add to these stories?
Yeah. When this happened, like I had episodes over the years, normally around hormonal changes, birth of a child, a couple surgeries, hysterectomy, laparoscopy, like female hormone things. But then they would come and go, and I had some other weird like symptoms, and there's MS in my family, which the doctors say isn't hereditary, but it's in the genes. So then this past winter, I woke up with like all the signs of a stroke, and like my face was kind of paralyzed, and there's just so much going on. I was in horrible pain, worse than like having a baby with no medicine, and that was really awful. And so I got into the doctor. I had all the symptoms of MS. They didn't tell me I had it, but they seemed pretty convinced. We haven't completely ruled it out. I don't think I have it, but my mom and my aunts with MS think that I do. But so we kind of were prepared for that, and then it wasn't that, or not so far. And sorry, I'm a lot. But then there's no diagnosis. So while I'm glad that I don't have that, it's kind of frustrating knowing how to treat it, and I can't take a lot of meds. I thought I found, because I've had horrible reactions, and I found one that I thought was working, and it helps with the pain a lot, but I can't. It was changing the way I acted and the way I treated people, and I didn't have like a zest to do anything. It wasn't me, so I decided not to take it, and it turns out I don't need it every day. So I wish there was something I could take. I do homeopathic stuff, but if medical marijuana was legal in my state, I would definitely do that, because I don't need something every day, and there's nothing really that can help me with energy besides when I do try to eat clean. I may have went off topic there, so I'm going to pass it back to Natalie.
Well, thank you, Sarah, for that. Well, we've kind of reached our time limit, so we'll save the positivity for next week again. I would like to thank everyone for participating in our first ever Spoonie Space show. Again, below this video, there's a button that will take you to the discounted product. We'll have a different discounted product every week that you can purchase. The money that's made by these products that goes to the community. And one of those things is to support myself, because I work full-time in the community. And I do giveaways in the community. The ribbons that we're all wearing that were made by Catherine, we collect money for that, and I send it to Catherine so she can finance the ribbons for the people that don't even have a couple of dollars to buy it and have it shipped. So that's how we kind of use the community for everyone. So thank you a lot for watching this show. Sign up for the updates so you don't miss us next week. Next week we'll do a show at the same day at the same time. And we will let you know what the topic of that show is going to be. So thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you again next week.